Hello. I'm going to be reviewing the 1988 Chinese horror slash exploitation film called Men Behind the Sun. This film is about Unit 731 that's Japanese used during World War II to experiment on Chinese and Russian civilians. And it was pretty horrific. It was basically kind of like what the Nazis did to the Jews. What I've heard, what I've read, and in the movie, they say that they were trying to find a a biological virus that kind of like the bubonic plague to wipe out like a large mass of people. So they perform these terrible experiments on these people, putting them through torture and killing them and injecting them with these viruses and stuff. The film's about a group of young soldiers who, I guess boy soldiers, they are sent to this facility, and they're Japanese soldiers, and they're training them up for war and stuff, but they're at the place where they're experimenting on these civilians, and it's basically mainly just I wouldn't say it is pure exploitation, because it shows you in detail the experiments they perform. It's very gory and nasty and kind of depressing. There's a part in the film where there's a little Chinese boy that because the boys are separated by a fence, the army and then the civilians are separated by a fence. Well, one of the Japanese boys, the soldiers, has a baseball, and the boys are playing with it, and the ball gets thrown over the fence, and then this little Chinese boy takes it, and then they run and try to beat him up and take it from him. But one of them kind of has a heart, and he thinks he doesn't know until later on, but he doesn't like what the facility is doing to these people. But anyways, later on in the film, the guards the adult soldiers set up the boy, the one that's very kind-hearted. They set him up to get the little Chinese boy so they can perform an experiment on him, and they do, and it's this long and extensive autopsy scene. It's very graphic, and it's very sad and disturbing, and it's this film don't pull any punches. There's a scene in the film where they take a woman and they put her hands through these those little I forgot what they're called, but it was used for a form of punishment back in the 1600s, and they put her in that. They like shackles or something, and it's freezing cold, and it's snowing outside, and they're pouring they're pouring cold water over her hands, and her hands are frozen, and then some guy comes out and starts smacking her hands with the stick to see what happens, and then finally her hands start coming off, they start breaking apart and stuff. There's a scene where I guess the woman, they did the same experiments with the woman where they keep her out in the cold and they freeze up her hand. Well, they take her back inside, and it has her arm has frostbite all over it, and they stick it in hot water, and it comes off, and her skin peels off, and all it is her bones. And then there's a scene where I guess it's a gas chamber where they have a mother and daughter sit in a gas chamber together and they kill them and like they're getting enjoyment out of it. It was pretty sad. And then there's one scene where they stick a guy in this compression chamber and it's like starts sucking all the air out and the guy's like intestines come out and it's pretty graphic. But yes, this film is not for everyone. It's very graphic and it's very disturbing and depressing, and it shows you like conflicted emotions. Like the one boy thinks it's wrong, that what they're doing is wrong, while some of the other ones think it's normal because they don't see the Chinese. It's mainly the Chinese civilians. There's some Russians, but they don't see them as humans. And it shows you like how the Chinese try to escape and then they get punished for it, and or they get killed, and it's very graphic. There's also a scene in the film. I heard people say it's real. It's a real scene. Like they said there's some animal cruelty. There's animal cruelty in here, but I don't know if it's real or not. But I heard people say it is, and there's one involving a cat and some rats. But anyways, it is a pretty interesting film if you're into, like, I'm into World War II history, so this film is really interesting to me, but it's pure exploitation. But if you're into, like, films like that, or if you're into films about historical films, this one's pretty good. Anyways, that's my review.